Hey everybody, it's Alexander Dahl with Manifest Vitality once again. So I've got another interview ready to go. We are approaching the end of Wave 5 here. Once we get the end of Wave 5 out, we'll give it a couple months and we'll start booking for the next wave. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and get into this one. All right, bye. All right, so I'm currently on the phone with Emily. She's another one of the musicians that reached out about the current interview series. So I'm going to go ahead and give her the chance to introduce herself.
Hi, my name is Emily Ewing. I'm a songwriter who sings. I write songs, collaborate with other musicians, and do session singing too. I currently live in Worcester in the UK, and I've been doing music for a very, very long time, for about 16 years. And I'm currently working on a new EP, which will hopefully be out very soon.
Excellent. So, tell me about how you first found music, and what about it really appealed to you and made you want to be a part of it.
Yeah, well, like a lot of young children, I was always singing, and I started writing songs at a pretty young age, if I can call them songs. And one of the first ones I ever wrote was about endangered animals. I still have it on tape somewhere, actually. And as a young child, I remember seeing some footage of Queen, and of course, I didn't know who they were at the time. Um, but then, yeah, Freddie Mercury completely captivated me with his incredible voice and who this person was on stage, and it really intrigued me how to be like that, how I could do that. And about the age of 11 or 12, I tried to learn the piano. So I'm not that great at it, but I know enough to use it with my songwriting. And then, yes, I did music at college and university.
Excellent. So, you kind of mentioned Freddie Mercury there, and the question I wanted to ask about that was, Freddie Mercury is really well known for his personality and the way that he spearheaded that type of music and rock music.
Yeah.
How much do you think that like the personality of an artist really plays into how they write their music and the type of content that they make?
I think it plays a massive part in it. For myself, I find music like a therapy. It's where I kind of channel feelings into how I write and what I sing as well. Yeah, I know you see that a lot with a lot of artists. I think they sometimes might be a quiet person in real life, but they can put a flamboyant or a bigger part of themselves on stage, which is really cool to see.
Excellent. So you mentioned that you started learning piano. Did you do
Yeah.
that as kind of your first steps into beginning to write and perform music, or were you learning piano for some other reason?
Well, I was again listening to music very young. There's a lot of the people like the Spice Girls, Michael Jackson, Queen. I was always quite fascinated with how songs were put together, like the chords,
Hmm.
um, and everything like that. Yeah, and how they were structured. Really, I always found that quite fascinating, which goes back to what I was saying that I was started writing songs very young, and so yeah, I always had like a massive interest in it.
Sure. So about the songs that you started writing when you were really young, how did you decide to start doing that? Was it, you saw it being done and you wanted to kind of emulate it, or did you find the passion for it through another means?
Um, yeah, I think I just quite liked what I heard from music that we listened to on the radio. I did want to emulate it a lot. Um, you know, again from people that I'd listened to on the radio. There was a show over here called Top of the Pops. That
Hmm.
was quite a big deal. Yeah, and I just quite liked and wanted to know how I could be like that and create similar kind of things, I guess.
Sure, sure. And so then you mentioned that you went to university for school or for
Yeah.
music. What courses did you take, and how do you feel that that impacted your ability to continue to create music?
Well, when I went to college, that was more performance. They kind of teach you how almost to be session singing, actually, which is part of what I do now, and how to work within a band, a stage presence. And at university, I did a course called Music Industry Practice, which is kind of like the business side of music. So
Hmm.
they kind of taught us contracts, for example, um, and things to look out for. Again, people who you'd work with, and we've got to put on our own music events as well as
Hmm.
part of a project. So yeah, that kind of gave you, or like myself, an inside look at what the industry actually is, and it's been a massive help because when you do come into contact with things like contracts. I know what to look out for now, and how to deal with band situations and working with people, and how to co-write as well. So it kind of, yeah, helped me kind of build that confidence in that.
Okay. And then once you got out of school, how did you continue working on music? Did you already have like kind of a repertoire of songs that you wanted to get out there and perform, or did you start working with other people?
Yeah, well, around that time, I was in an acoustic duo where we wrote and performed gigs. And that's also where a lot of my real understanding of what being a musician came from as well. And then when that slowly stopped, I started going solo and writing for myself and had EPs that would come out. And then I got into session singing.
Okay. And how do you find work as a session singer? Are you responding to like call sheets and things like that, or how does your typical gig go in that regard?
Sometimes you get contacted. There's a phone call. It's there's a saying that it's not what you know, it's who you know. I've been fortunate enough to work with a lot of people. Producer Dave Draper, he is a producer I work with. He works with an incredible amount of musicians, incredibly talented, and he'll often put me forward for opportunities. I also see them on Facebook sometimes. Again, people that I know will say, "Have you seen this advertisement?" And I'll contact through there, and yeah, so on like that, really.
Okay, so a lot of that stuff has come to you really organically, where you're actively searching like message boards and social media for the opportunities.
I think these days you kind of have to, being an unsigned musician, you kind of have to do a lot of work yourself. Like I don't have management or an agent or anything like that, so all does kind of fall onto me to kind of find the work and just see what's out there.
Sure, definitely. I think there's a certain level of kind of like self-starting and entrepreneurialism that a startup musician needs to have in order to find those opportunities and the people to work with.
Yeah. And also to doing that, I found a lot of people that I've collaborated on songs with. So I've learned how to co-write through doing session singing and stuff, and people that I probably wouldn't have met in everyday life. They're doing session singing as well, so it opens a lot of doors. And
excellent. So about the stuff that you're writing yourself, how do you identify the type of content and the sort of voice that you want to have about what you're creating?
Yeah, well, I call myself a songwriter who sings, because a couple of years ago I stopped performing live because of stage fright. But I continued kind of, just writing, as I said, songs that mean something to me. And I do just a mixture of everything. Like I have my own studio, which is a pretty simple setup. When I do official recording, obviously I go with like a producer in the studio.
Sure. And do you get the opportunity to go into your large mainstream studios often doing like your session singing?
I used to, but because of COVID, it kind of means that you have to kind of do a lot of stuff remotely, which is where kind of having my own mini studio setup helps. So I can still carry on doing what I'm doing, and it hasn't really impacted me too much.
So with the stuff that you're working on and developing on your own, do you envision at some point that you'll bring other people into it and do like a full band lineup kind of thing? Or do you see yourself kind of eventually being able to get out there and do solo shows and things like that?
I have no plans to do any shows just yet. But because again, stage fright and all that, but definitely continuing recording and just putting it out there. And that's also one of the fantastic things of technology, is that I can do that without the traditional way that most artists or musicians would do, where they record, tour. I can record and put it out, and you have a wider audience because of the internet and stuff. So technology does have its pros.
Which actually kind of brings up an interesting point of that. When you're able to do live shows over the internet or put something out over the internet, and essentially you're casting a wider net to an audience that could be much larger than what could fill a stage that you'd perform in front of. but yet it doesn't impact you the same way that like the stage fright would being in front of that live audience.
No, and I hope kind of me saying that shows people that you don't have to do anything the traditional way.
Mm-hmm.
You can very much have a career in music without doing the whole live stuff if that's not what you want to do. Like I
Mm-hmm.
love doing music and it's what I want to do. But I won't let stage fright stop me making music and putting it out.
Mm-hmm.
And so far, so good. It hasn't stopped me so far.
Well, I think that point that you just made is also a really good point in the fact that there are many facets and ways to participate in the music industry without what the expected live show or live presence is.
Yeah, yeah.
Awesome.
But
So, what are some of your favorite memories in participating in music? Whether it be going to a show that was inspiring or doing some session work.
oh, I have a few career highlights. I have been Artist of the Week on BBC Introducing, which is a pretty a big thing. I've also done session work for fairly well-known people like Ginger Wildheart, the Wild Hearts, and Ron Hamilton, and yeah, worked with a gentleman called Jeffrey Gerd, who wrote a hit in the 90s, a number one hit, a one hit wonder. So that was really exciting. And yeah, just working with a whole lot of different musicians is a massive highlight as well.
Absolutely. Do you have like any like personal memories to yourself that kind of stand out there rather than like professional memories?
Um, what do you mean, like a non music way or going to?
Well, still regarding music, but just like a song that you wrote that means a lot to you or something like that.
Oh, yeah, I have a lot of songs that I think every song, as cheesy as it sounds, does mean something to me in some way. Because everything that I do write is from my aspects and feelings, and it's like a
Hmm.
therapy almost. So I'm proud of everything that I write and that I get to share with the wider world. That's pretty awesome to be able to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's really nice these days that home studios are getting so cheap that everybody can have that outlet and put a piece of themselves out there.
Yeah, well, it's nice that again in this current day and age is that musicians don't necessarily need to pay lots of money to go to a well-known studio.
Hmm.
You can do it at home,
Hmm.
which is all nothing should hopefully stop people doing it.
Right.
And if people want to make music, I hope they keep making it in any way that they can. You're still very much a musician, even if you're picking up the guitar
Hmm.
once a day or once a week and recording it on your phone. An idea is an idea.
Excellent. So, what are like your social media links where people can check out the type of stuff that you've been doing and some of the session work you've worked on?
Yeah, well, all of my social media is under my name, Emily Ewing Music, all one word. So yeah, go and check out my music.
Excellent. And I always like to give the person I'm interviewing the opportunity to put out their last word. So, a message that you feel resonates with you.
Yeah, just echo what I said before. Just keep making music. The world needs more music and to keep creativity alive. Yeah, so keep making music.